right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second hour of 8 Bits. I'm djWHEAT, joined as always by itmeJP and special guest player 3, Jeff Green, joining us. So thanks again, Jeff, for coming on and chatting video games with us. Now, talked about what we've been playing, and now we're going to talk about some of the other video game news that's been hitting the headlines, including a few things that have been ruffling some whatever, feathers. They're all over the place, and that's because we'll just kick it off with Watch Dogs gets delayed. And I'm kind of glad that you were talking about Grand Theft Auto a little bit, Jeff, because there's a part of me that feels like GTA 5 has some responsibility for this.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you know, GTA 5 came out, I think, immediately. I think people, I mean, it's a weird comparison to make, but it's going to be a very fresh sandbox game in people's minds with the online and everything coming out. A lot of pressure with the new consoles. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of technical things going on, but, you know, don't you think they said we want to polish it, we want to make it better? Like, they've kind of got to hit that same bar that GTA hit. Otherwise, and at least delaying it even more allows them not only polish it, but also move it a little bit out of that Grand Theft spotlight that I think it would inevitably be intruding on. So I don't know. That could just be my tinfoil hat on, and you know, like
there's a lot of there's a lot of that
aliens.
No, that's a good point. I mean, you're right, because they have to. I mean, you never want to be directly be forced to be compared to those guys, you know. And of course, the Saints Row series did the like great kind of genius move of just saying, okay, we're not even gonna, we're aliens, whatever. Like, this is not real life. Like, we're doing our own thing. And that series is so awesome now. Like, to me, that series started out kind of mediocre and then grew into greatness. And I love Saints Row 4. So, you know, Watch Dogs, like, anytime you have to be directly compared, if people are going to start comparing Watch Dogs to GTA 5, you're right. That would have been bad for them. I mean, even if it's good, no matter how good it is, because it's a new IP, right? We don't know what this is going to be like.
Exactly. There's always the unknown, yeah. It was also interesting to me because, like, Saints Row 4 came out, and then, what, a month after that, about that much time, is when GTA 5 came out, and, like, those games, although they are both open world games, are completely different. And there was always that thought in the back of my mind before I played GTA 5, like, I just finished Saints Row. I could jump practically from one side of the world to the other just by hitting spacebar. And I was like, God, now I have to drive across the world. Am I going to be bored? Like, what is that going to be like? And thankfully, like, GTA 5, it was worth it. But I was most excited for Watch Dogs because, like, when I think next gen, they have sold me, and I think they sold almost everyone, that, like, Watch Dogs is the first next gen experience that you have to own. It's the one that's going to be on all the consoles. It's the one that they're really kind of stepping up everything. And now with that gone, like, I've seen a ton of people, including myself, that are just kind of like, it was a total buzzkill about next gen games, because, like, that was the game that they had marketed on, promised on, and, like, everyone was like, "Oh, I can't wait for Watch Dogs. It's going to be great. It's going to be like the next gen game."
It was a serious bummer this week. Yeah, I mean, I think their stock price got hit.
Yeah, like 24% or something the next day.
Wow, no shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
I mean, to me, this is the danger of hype, right? And it's almost like a unique experience to the gaming industry, where something that isn't even out yet, it can have this much, you know, have this big of an impact. I mean, sometimes you'll see it with a huge AAA movie, right, where we're all anticipating it. But when you think about it, this is a game, none of us have played it. We don't know if it's going to be any good. It could actually suck. We don't even know, right? And yet it causes this much consternation in the industry. It's crazy, and it could even affect whether people are going to pre-order or cancel their pre-orders or not, right?
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? Because I was actually, I mean, look, right? Like, hey, I'm mad. Canceling a pre-order, like, I guess it made me realize that was that the reason people were actually purchasing these console? Because there's still obviously plenty to do. Like, am I bummed? Yeah, that was one of the things I was certainly excited for. I know JP and I were open to, you know, play through that. One less thing. But I never once said, damn it, I'm canceling my pre-order. As a result, I was scared shitless because I did order the Amazon Watch Dogs PlayStation, pack, but thankfully they did send out an email that says, "Don't worry, you're still going to get a console, just not get the game." It's just like it is what it is, right?
Are they compensating you in another way, like with a different game, or
Yeah, how do they handle that?
No,
exactly?
so the way it worked, and this is the smartest way as far as I'm concerned, right? Because first off, you pre-ordered the game. I haven't paid for anything yet, right? So they're just like knocking it down to just what a normal PS4 would be. It's no longer a bundle. And, that's probably the right thing to do, right? Because if they would have just been like, we're going to give you X game, it's like, well, fuck you. I didn't want that game.
I don't want that game.
So it's like now I was going to get everything anyway. I was just like, well, Watch Dogs is the one that, like, I'm super stoked for. I already got Killzone. There we go. So I'm just happy that they took care of me as a retailer. And thank you once again, Amazon, for being the bomb. But, what do you guys think? The outcry of, like, now I'm canceling my pre-orders or this. Do you feel like this has had a large effect on next-gen console pre-orders as a result?
I mean, it's really hard to say. Like, there definitely have been a lot of posts, like on NeoGAF and Reddit, on a bunch of different subreddits on there, saying like, I think that it's just the anticipation or the hype around these consoles is just lessened. I think most of the people are still buying the console. It's just the question of what game do I want to buy now? Because Killzone, like, most people are probably going to pick that up just because it's one of the big games for the launch. Right. Knack, I think, is kind of sliding into play a little bit more than it was already. I really think, though, and this might have been the entire reason that Ubisoft did it, is they were launching two games that directly conflicted with each other, with Assassin's Creed 4 coming out. And now everyone, including my own brother, is super hyped for AC4 because that's the game that he's hyped for. That's like the replacement of Watch Dogs. And maybe that's what Ubisoft was hoping for here. They didn't want to launch a new IP with an old IP that was already probably going to sell decently well. But at the same time, no one was hyped for Assassin's Creed 4 for the most part.
I agree with you that I mean, that makes sense in a way that could have been their theory, except the hit on their stocks means if that was their idea, they shot themselves in the foot. Totally. Because I mean, I know the stock, that doesn't matter to me or whatever to any of us, but for their own investors, they got to be now thinking, what the fuck were you thinking? Yeah, like we now have less money because of you. So it wasn't really a good move.
It's a really weird move, yeah.
But I agree with you though, Marcus. Like I would never. Well, I was going to say I would never buy a system for one game, but then I bought this for Animal Crossing. But I knew I was going to buy more. But I didn't have that reaction at all. Like, it didn't even, like, I had to see it on NeoGAF and Twitter before I was like, oh, really? That's your reaction, that you're going to cancel? Like, what about all the other games? And also just the fact that, like, this is the next gen. Like, of course we're going to buy it. I mean, it's just a matter of when, really. I mean, I don't know. Like, you're canceling, you know that in another month there's going to be another game or whatever. Like, I don't know. Sometimes these things are just like gut reactions, right? It's like, I'm boycotting 100%. Blizzard because of X, even though, of course, you're going to buy it day one because you're a big fanatic and you're on the internet talking about it, which proves you're a fanatic. So, I don't know. A lot of that. Weird reaction, I think.
I think,
but still a bummer. Still a bummer that they did.
Well, totally. I woke up Monday and I think Marcus, you messaged me and it's like, Watch Dogs delayed. I'm like, what? This is a joke. The internet. I walk in and like it's just explosions happening.
Yeah, and I think it's also because it's so late, relatively.
That's the other.
Is.
Yeah, we're a month out.
Yeah. Like if they had said this back in whatever April, I don't think it wouldn't have had any effect. Right, but now the anticipation is sort of at its height now. So, and they must have, just knowing from being in the business, knowing this decision did not happen overnight. Like they've probably been batting this around in executive meetings for weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's. What do you have? Something else, Jake? There's another delay. I wanted to.
Yeah. We had another delay finally confirmed this morning, but we'll get to that 1 second. I just want to say it's interesting to me now that, in this fucking weird alternate universe or something, I'm more excited for Super Mario 3D World on Wii U which has been in my closet collecting dust for the past month and a half, than I am for, I think, any title on the PS4 or Xbox One. Like, it's weird that happened. That somehow Nintendo has sucked me back into this fucking console.
So. I still don't have a Wii U. And it's the first Nintendo machine going back all the way to the NES that I didn't buy.
Wow.
Right away. I'm not saying I won't buy it.
I just have some titles out there for sure.
Yeah.
It really does. All right, well, the other delay was actually Drive Club, which... and people are just going to think I have no sympathy at all because I actually don't. I'm like not the biggest driving, game fan. So to me, this doesn't hit very hard. In fact, the way I see it is that they're going to give me 2 games because they're delaying a game that I wouldn't play anyway. So I'm like, I am in a win-win situation here. Drive Club has been delayed till early 2014. This is also wasn't what's the Ubisoft one, because that one was delayed too, right?
The Crew was delayed till
the Crew, right?
2015 possibly is what they were saying.
What?
Yeah, mid 2014, possibly 2015, I think, is what an article said in the headline. So
basically, they're delaying Drive Club, and then they're going to give you Contrast. And what is the other game?
I couldn't find. Is it Resogun?
Resogun, yes. Thank you.
Wait, so you get that free?
Yes.
Well, okay. I was a little bit upset, but now we got Resogun. You
won me over, right? So that's kind of, I look at it, and I'm sure there's driving fans that are just so bummed about all this.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Did they say why? I didn't have a chance to read through that entire article. Did they say what the reason was?
Here's the blog from the Drive Club update that says the team has made the difficult decision to delay the release. They say that Drive Club will be a truly innovative, socially connected racing game, and the team requires more time in order to deliver on their vision. And I'm fully confident the game will surpass your expectations. So, Sony
just wasn't
car
done yet,
games never had the best of luck, really. I mean, great luck when they come out, but like on the whole making them thing, they've never had the best of luck. I feel like these guys love cars too much because I feel like they have to fine tune everything.
They gotta go get another microphone. We gotta record this exhaust real quick.
Yeah,
get a better sound.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think is the fact that it just seems like marketing wise, like they haven't done anything for Drive Club. They were giving it away for free as part of PlayStation Plus. And then you have Forza here coming out on Xbox One, which is still coming on launch, that is just like everyone's already bought into that. I feel like Drive Club had so much ground that they needed to try and overtake that. Were they scared of just getting smashed at launch? Do you think that was a big reason for it?
This one's hard.
That's some pretty big speculation, of course, but
here's what I'm imagining, that it's probably more the social experience than anything, right? Because that's what's really going to kill that game, I think.
So if no one's playing it, then
if like the social experience sucks, or maybe on launch, like the full integration of the social experience, because like that would be the thing, right? If Drive Club is about the social experience and I fire it up day one and I have a shitty experience, especially as a guy that's not a fan of driving games, it's a no play ever again, right? So even as someone who is a fan, that would be my guess. I would say where they probably want to put the most polish on would be that. But my speculation.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
My driving game appreciation kind of begins and ends with like more arcadey stuff like the Need for Speed series and I was going to say GTA, but not really, because that's the worst driving in the world. But the auto sim crowd is a unique breed of human. Those guys really get into it hardcore. I mean, when I was running the PC gaming magazine back in the day, I mean, some of that shit was out of control. I mean, we had an editor dedicated specifically to simulations, both auto and flight sims, which are kind of dead as a genre now. But we used to like meet guys who would have like entire cockpits in their man. Whoa, sorry about that. I gesticulated my mic right off the desk. Sorry. You'd find guys that have like entire in crazy setups with wheels and stuff. All
Throttle, yeah.
Yeah, I actually would bring some of that stuff home because I was the editor of the magazine, and I would get the stuff sent to us. And I at one point I set up like the wheel, and I had a accelerator and brake pads for my feet. And I set this up in the office that I share with my wife, and she was just like, "What the fuck? Why did I marry you?"
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not too hyped for. I'm not one of those racing fanatics, but I did play. I think it was Forza 4, I guess, which is the latest one, and they do a pretty good job of like balancing between simulation and arcade by just toggling like an option in the options. Like,
right,
you can totally go into that game and it will be like 100% that driving game where if you want to tweak the brakes, or I don't know. I'm not a huge car guy, so I don't know what the fuck you would tweak. But and then the other thing is you can put it all the way to kind of arcadey, and it becomes almost arcadey in the sense. Like what was that game they released? Forza Horizon. Did either of you play that at all?
Which game?
It was like Forza Horizon. It was like their answer to a true hybrid arcade / simulation game. And if there's more of that in the newest Forza, I'll definitely enjoy it to some extent. But it's not a game that I'm going to be playing like months from now, just because that's not my type of game. But I definitely see why people play it, because it also looks great too. It's a great. I
think that's probably a lot of what I think a lot of car racing sim fans are graphic whores too.
Totally.
They're getting off on just how awesome everything looks, which is legit.
I mean, those models of the cars are insane looking. Marcus, do you want to talk about these setups you're showing?
I was just showing some of the crazy, PC pilot setups. Of course, you'll notice these all have CRT monitors, except for this one down here. It appears that he's actually created some sort of enclosure. This one, I'm not going to watch the video, but it looks amazing. If you're interested, you could just look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
these guys go nuts.
They do. They go the distance. Actually, he does have LCDs, but it's for all of his controls. So good for him, man. He's
probably gets he wants that zero latency flying.
That's
wants
wild.
to be able to make sure it's real.
That is totally wild. That's totally wild. Yeah, driving games.
Yeah,
can't live with them.
It's weird to see.
Without them, I guess.
So I guess the question I have for you guys, like, does with not necessarily Drive Club, because you guys aren't really driving game fans, but with Watch Dogs being delayed, like, did that lessen the hype, the anticipation of this next gen launching, or you guys just want that new console?
I'm not less hyped.
Me neither.
I was hyped for Watch Dogs, but I was not hyped for next gen because of Watch Dogs.
Okay.
Exactly. Totally the same feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Same JP or?
I'm like it. I was, but now it's just like the more I think about it, it's like there's a new console coming, or there's two new consoles coming where I think the hardcore gamers are more interested in what those consoles do than the games that are actually on them at this point in time. Like, they want to know what the Xbox One's interface is going to look like, or what PS4 is going to do online to combat what Xbox Live did so right this last gen, and can Sony actually live up to that? I think is where a lot of those questions lie for a lot of people out there, myself included. So
yeah, I agree. These are huge, shiny new toys. And this is the first huge, shiny new toy from Microsoft and Sony in years and years. Like, it's so much bigger than one game. Yeah, so much bigger.
It's true.
So exciting. All right, let's talk about another new technology, because this has been getting a lot of buzz this morning. I kind of feel like this is something I would read on an April Fool's news day, because it's just like I'm looking at this thing, and it's the NVIDIA blog that was just released, and it's this NVIDIA G-Sync, and it's so funny because like JP was trying to explain it to me, and I was like, well, is it a monitor? Is it like the NVIDIA's monitor? And he's like, no,
I thought it was a monitor.
It's like a card that you put into your monitor, and I'm just like, what? Wait, what? And I look at it, the page, and I'm even more confused a little bit. But JP, can you give me the 101, like maybe even the
I still
001?
don't understand it because like if you look at this the post right or the blog post that you're looking at, like the pictures that they're showing is somehow this G-Sync snaps onto the back of the monitor. They use this picture twice in the blog. I didn't have time to
So
skim
this
through.
is the piece that's in the monitor. So you're
I
you're
guess,
not
but
necessarily.
if you look at that circuit board, like it looks like it goes into a PCIe slot, right? Look at the
No,
bottom. That's a PCIe slot.
That's sure.
So I don't know, like, how the fuck does that work? Like, where does it go into?
So I think
why
it is.
would they put it on the back of the monitor?
We're assuming that the monitors are going to be built with this technology.
Okay, well then, NVIDIA, that's a terrible picture to show because that is incredibly misleading. I thought it was just something that you could buy on the side and snap onto a monitor to make it have, like, to put all of the processing on the GPU itself and not in the monitor so that you could have the refresh rate thing go away and you can make it whatever you want or have lagless input.
Right. So it's essentially it's not sacrificing. So with VSync off, you can have fast input response time, but images are seriously corrupted by tearing, or you can use VSync, but then the games get laggy. So it's basically like you get the benefits of VSync without it getting laggy. Is it, right? Yeah. All right.
know.
So we were
weird.
talking about this. Here's why it's interesting, right? It's so interesting to me that like I had a 120 hertz CRT 20-inch monitor that was the fucking bomb, and like I just got 120 hertz on my LCD. Like, wait, when did we go backwards a little bit? But you know, with the new, you know, graphics cards that are coming out and that are out with like the new monitors that are available on the market going up to 240 hertz now, and with more people, you know, PC gaming, I understand why this is the next step in technology. Where JP and I were kind of talking about is for streaming, it gets really weird because sometimes my stream wants to have exactly the same refresh rate as what my monitor is and stuff. So, you know, this is all very interesting in that it could take place on the monitor and not necessarily on my card and stuff. I don't know. It's cool technology, but JP and Jeff, what do you...
Yeah, I just read about it for the first time this morning, and I had the same reaction. I didn't know what the fuck it was at all, and
It's really misleading. At least for me, it is. Like, it is. Technology works.
Yeah, but you know, the tech guys, PC tech guys that I follow on Twitter were all, you know, one guy said, like, I mean, he literally said, like, G-Sync gives me a boner. So, you know, I don't know if it actually gave him a real one, nor do I care or want to know. But in any way, the fact that he was at least metaphorically that excited made me think like, oh, I guess I want this thing, but I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm the same way. I need a tech nerd to tear it down for me and make me understand how the fuck it actually works.
Because this happens
doesn't do a good job
while with PC gaming, right? Something comes along where everybody tells us like we have got to get this thing, and sometimes it sticks, and often it doesn't. You know, and sometimes it's just like the latest sort of fly-by-night kind of cool tech that ends up being irrelevant 6 months later. I don't know if this is one of those or not. Who knows? I mean, at one point, we were all buying separate physics cards.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And then
God,
it just
that was
kind of
a
got
weird-
built in anyway.
Yeah, they realized that, and to me, it's kind of the same thing. Like, this is such a specialized piece of hardware that people will not go and buy that for just being like a casual gamer, someone that wants to just play a game on their PC. Like, I don't know if they're expecting to, like, I guess co-market with like an Asus or I don't know, an Acer or whoever makes a monitor out there.
yeah, I mean, this news is specifically tailored for like extreme tech geeks. So to your average gamer, this means nothing. You know, I mean, it's cool. I mean, from what I can read and understand, it seems cool. Yeah. But does this have any real world application for the average gamer, or is that real world thing going to happen like 2 years from now? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this article is pretty good because they're breaking down like here's an actual
the PCPer.
Yeah, it's like this is what you're trying to avoid, shit like this tearing right here. And then kind of goes through. And I agree with you. Actually, as you were commenting on that, Jeff, it makes me wonder, will this help in televisions at all? Is this something that maybe NVIDIA could actually hey, you're going to have G-Sync in your televisions now, so when you hook your PC up, or even if you're using the consoles that might be able to push higher than 60, doubt it, but I wonder how big this goes, if it's just the monitor makers or if this goes even beyond that.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I do think that as more and more people are streaming and doing things like this, which were not possible even just a little while ago, maybe this does become more of a necessity. I don't know. I mean, I know that even just in the brief period I started doing this, I realized that my hardware needs skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm. So they're launching it. It says the first launch monitor is a variation of the very popular 144 hertz Asus VG248QE 19 by 1080 display. Why would they launch that on? That is like an incredibly high-end 144 hertz. Why would you launch that on that?
Probably because it's
low-end monitor.
It's going to be a very focused demographic anyway.
Exactly.
I guess that's
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
the only people who are interested are the ones who are just the whores for the latest and greatest. They need the most. I mean, whore in a good way.
Of course.
The extreme users who are just going to be so turned on by this new capability. So those people already have the highest end thing, or they're going to buy the highest end thing. If you're at the low end, this does not affect you really, even if you might be the one who needs it the most. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For someone who knows so little about this technology and having so many monitors, I was actually looking at this specific monitor yesterday to purchase. So maybe now I'm actually going to wait longer to see if I should buy this technology or not. They didn't say when they're going to ship with it or anything.
Be keeping an eye on it, I think.
It also says DisplayPort is the only input option currently supported, which, as far as I know from my limited knowledge about this, is not a widely used port. Am I wrong in saying that, Marcus?
What?
Maybe you know better.
DisplayPort? No, DisplayPort's actually picking up a little bit because it's becoming well, of course, it's. I think Apple's pretty much adapted it across all their any device they can put it in.
When I hear DisplayPort, I think Apple.
But the thing is I've been starting to see DisplayPorts on media players, media servers, shit like that. So I don't know. I don't really use any DisplayPort device. I'm just kind of HDMI, but I understand why it's available. So, anyway.
Well, we'll have to see when that actually ships and when the Tom's Hardware nerds get their hands on it, and I'll read a review because I'm not going to mess with any of that shit until I know what it does.
Right.
So, should we open up the phones for a little bit, see if anyone has anything to say? And then also, have you guys heard of this Stanley Parable? Just because...
Yeah.
I know what it is.
Choo-choo, get on the hype train. Everyone's talking about
everyone.
this.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. It's funny,
Yeah.
too. I had a friend tell me to play it 2 years ago, and I was like, shut up, I'll never play that. And now he's so hipstering the shit out of this. He's like, I told you 2 years ago, I told everyone.
So wait, is it a because it looks incredibly good if it was made 2 years ago.
It's like an HD
remake of it?
Of it, yeah, with more stuff in it from what I know. So, Jeff, what were you going to say? Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, just so that I saw it at PAX. And it looked great. I sat there and I watched somebody play it for a while, and it's hilarious. But you're right, though. It's funny. It is kind of like the hipster game to like right now.
Yeah.
And that happens, right? That just keeps happening. There's always one. It was gone home a little while ago. There's always one that everybody has to say they played it first.
Yeah. And apparently you can beat it in 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's that long from what I've heard too. Yeah.
So.
Beat it, whatever that means.
The cool thing about I just love when games like this get their name out. It just happens. The wave of hype that gets everyone playing it, that puts it on the map. I don't know. I just really
No,
like that.
I agree with you, and I love this era of gaming right now, where these kind of games can get this kind of attention. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, really, where this whole phenomenon just wasn't really happening. It was either you were AAA or you kind of didn't exist. And now it's really possible for much lower rent games to get a lot of positive attention. I mean, when you look at I mean, it's sort of an endless list right now this past year. Spelunky, I mean, it just goes on and on of all these really great games. Don't Starve, that really garnered a lot of praise and attention and sales. It's just a cool time, I think, and the ability for this Kickstarter era where we can see games getting funded that never would have otherwise gotten made. It's a really neat time.
Beautiful thing. It
Was
really
was
is.
the Stanley Parable Kickstarter at all, or was that just an initiative by the mod makers a long time ago? I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know much about it, but definitely.
I'll research.
I've got a
we
couple.
taking calls,
Yeah, I've got a couple folks trying to get in here, so let's go ahead and take a call. We've got Steven on the line. Steven, hello, welcome to 8 Bits. What's up?
Not much, guys. Enjoying the show thus far. I was just had a question for Jeff.
Sure.
You always hear kind of these horror stories from developers' side as far as working for larger corporations, and I want to go into software development eventually, but not necessarily in the games industry. And I was just curious if you had any insight or anything to say about kind of this attitude that bigger corporations see, developers as just like cogs in the machine.
That's a great question. I mean, it's going to be really, not to dodge the question, but it is really going to be different for every single person and for every company. I mean, so whatever I say, take with a grain of salt, because it's your mileage may vary kind of thing. I'll give you the pros and cons. The pros of it, of going to a big place, and let's say Electronic Arts, as I was there, is that there is machinery in place to help kind of nurture your career. Like when you're dealing with a really big place, there's all sorts of systems in place. There's reviews. There's a lot of different. There's a lot of movement possibilities. So you'll start on one game and one thing, and they may have use for you in some other thing where you gain experience. So for some people, the machine can actually be a great learning place. And what you would often see at a place like EA is it's kind of like a starter ground, and then people will go off and do their own thing. So strictly from a learning place, it can be great. And then the downside to that is really more what you were talking about, which is that you can be a cog, and really kind of make no mistake, you are a cog. I mean, you are, because there's like thousands of people literally working there, and they're making a ton of games all at once. So you are sort of signing up to be a cog. And you could argue that, okay, well, if you go to a 4-man shop, you're going to have a lot more responsibility from the get-go, and therefore you're going to learn more, and you're going to sort of be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. But the downside of that is that is still a somewhat limited experience. Like you're even working with teams, learning how to work with other people, like engineers working with artists, working with 3D modelers. It's not the same. Like you get a really gigantic, world view when you're at a place like EA, where you get to experience a lot of things. You get a lot of great experience. So I don't have a definitive answer for you. You really have to weigh what's best for you as a person. Like some people can't even deal with being at a place with a lot of people. And if you're not, like you definitely don't go to EA. But if you feel like somebody who can adapt to being on like a campus, like campus life, that kind of thing, working with great groups, it can be a phenomenal learning experience. And in addition, all the connections you make at a big place like that, which will last you a lifetime.
Oh, thanks a lot. That was
help
great.
You?
Yeah, that was a great answer. You didn't dodge that at all.
Good to know.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Hey, Steven, thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Good question, man.
Take care.
Yeah, it was.
All right, let's take another one. We've got area code 440 on the line. Hello, welcome to 8 Bits.
Hey, how's it going, DJ, JP, and Jeff? I was just calling to ask you guys a quick question. Well, first of all, I really want to see you guys play the Stanley Parable, all of you. It'll be hilarious.
I'm in.
I will definitely.
All right.
I've already got it. I'm ready to fire. So.
All right, good, because I want to see you guys stream. It'll be hilarious. My question is, I don't know much about the NVIDIA GPU monitor that's coming out here. And I know you guys talked about it a little bit, and sorry, I tuned in a little bit late. Is it going to be taking off any of the GPU load? And if it does, is this something that you think eventually is just going to become a worldwide standard for all monitors?
Well, as the foremost expert on GPU technology and GC, I don't think it is at all from my simple understanding of it. But if anything, it feels like it's going to put more on it, but it's not going to like affect the actual GPU at all. It's not going to put a huge load on it at all. As far as I know, it's just a balancer that is going to kind of tweak input lag into the monitor and refresh rate into the monitor. That's all it's doing, from what I've understood.
Yeah. Not quite the sort of the magic Pandora's box that you open and everything, well, I don't know, the fixer goes crazy, but I think a step in the right direction. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers my question. I got one more quick one for you.
Sure.
How do you feel about Kickstarter games in general? There's a lot of controversy about some Kickstarter games are just made for, own personal benefit money, and just that in general. Like, how do you feel about that?
Sure. I'll just kind of kick it off, and I'll just say, you know what? Just like everything else, there's good and there's bad. And in Kickstarter, I have seen some amazing good. I mean, from some of the digital trading card games I'm playing now to Star Citizen that I just I can't wait for. And then you know what? I've browsed the Kickstarters a few times. I've seen some kind of, wow, I don't know about that. And there's probably been some failed projects as well. But I kind of think that that's going to happen in an environment like that. You're going to have people that are going to aspire to make a vision of a game they have, but maybe that's just not going to be great. I mean, you look at movies, you look at music, and it's all kind of been similar to that. Granted, funding is a lot different. No one's really crowdsourcing that kind of stuff. But in this case, I personally love it because, like Jeff said, there are so many times where great game designers and developers and producers are essentially cock-blocked by, people that they have to make business decision, and sometimes that tramples on your creativity. And I think this is the way that is kind of avoided. And Jeff, I don't know what if you agree.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's exactly how I feel. That it's really you can't obviously there's no such thing really as a Kickstarter game. Kickstarter is just the platform, right? It's what's enabling all these people, these creative people, to have the opportunity to make something that, as Marcus said, they might be totally cock-blocked by publishers who are just thinking about bottom line profits or whatever. And you'll pitch a game that may sound awesome, and they're just like, yeah, but okay, but where's the shooter part or whatever it is that day that they think is going to sell units, So just as a platform to give creative people the opportunity to make and make a living off the thing that they love, it's a super cool thing that's happening. But as Marcus also said, as the consumer, for you and on our end, we all have to decide. You have to spend your money wisely, right? Right. You got to look at who are these people? What are they promising? Right. Do they have any kind of track record? Have they made a game before? If so, when's the last one they made? Did it suck? All those kinds of things. You have to just
and a good
go into it
that
carefully.
Is Star Citizen is doing fantastic with the crowdfunding it's getting, and it looks promising. We've actually seen stuff come out from them. As opposed to other places that just look like they're going to cash out and call it a day.
Right, and you're right. There's probably a percentage of people there who are not cool, who are just exploiting it to get money. But you know what? They'll get found out, and we'll never hear from them again. But the successful Kickstarters, are just going to show that this is a great way to get games made.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully.
I think so. All right, JP, what are your thoughts? Anything to add to that?
I think the whole Kickstarter thing is For me, I haven't ever kickstarted or funded anything like that. I just think it's interesting that like we're in this situation right now where those games are finally starting to come out now that have been kickstarted like a year or two ago. And for me, it is very interesting to see these different games and look at these different games and see how they're doing. Like, I think Star Citizen has the potential to be an amazing game that will kind of propel what that game is trying to represent into the future and be a huge thing. But I'm not going to buy into it just yet. But that's kind of how I choose to spend my money. And that's what's so great about Kickstarter is if you want to buy into this and you believe in this process, then you can help them out. But it's a very weird thing for me to buy into something like that and have no idea if it will actually be worth the shit, right? Like, I think it's
and
very
you've
important.
Never looked at something, JP, that you've been like, oh my god, like I'm in. I'm actually like
on Kickstarter.
You've never done that.
I almost bought into the Oculus Rift when it was still being funded, however long ago that was. But game-wise, if it's going to come out on Steam eventually, or somewhere where I could just buy it standalone without ever having to Kickstarter, I'd rather buy it then, rather than waiting, or rather than purchasing it now.
I was pretty much in the same boat until Mighty Number 9. And also Star Citizen, like these games, they convinced me. Like I'm in. I'm gonna join. I want to be a part of that wave, and I mean I certainly understand your position, but I think that it's starting to finally rub on me that I'm now looking for these projects that I want to see this go. So but I get it. Yeah.
I mean, there really is like a Kickstarter for everyone. I think is a pretty good statement. Like, you can find something on there that you want to support for sure. So it's really just up to you to find that. I haven't sought it out because I already spend way too much money anyway. So I don't want to spend it anywhere else. By the way, caller, if you want to know more about like the NVIDIA thing, twitch.tv/LinusTech. If you know who that is, he'll probably. That's kind of who I trust for all of that type of information. Yeah. So. They're live right now with the NVIDIA conference. I think John Carmack is speaking, and they're talking about this G-Sync thing a little bit. So check out his YouTube or his live stream. I think he usually does a show once a week where he kind of takes call-ins and things like that. So check him out. He'll definitely be more knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have you guys in the background, though. Don't worry.
Awesome. All right. Hey, thanks for your call, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Take it easy, guys.
Yep, bye-bye. All right, you want to take one more?
Sure.
Do one more, then we'll wrap. All right, let's take one more. Actually, all my phones just stopped right at that. Right at that
That's how it goes, man.
It is. You see the little shaking phones, and they're all over. And then, like, once someone gets picked up, they just fall off. And that happens. There we go. We will take this last one. Okay, we got area code 832. Hello, welcome to 8 Bits. What's up?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going great.
Hey.
I guess what I want to talk about today is, I guess, Japanese video games companies' hostile attitude towards new media. I mean, there's been a lot of examples throughout the year, be it from Nintendo trying to, stop Melee from being streamed at EVO. And I know JP had some thing about it, too, with Final Fantasy XIV being released and Square Enix trying to stop any coverage of that. And just recently with Total Biscuits podcast, getting taken down by Nintendo because you showed an advertisement for Pokemon X and Y.
Yep.
My question is that where does this come from and where is it going? And is it going to get better or worse anytime soon?
I really think it has everything to do with they don't actually know what is happening and what these things are that they are potentially killing. Like the YouTube thing happened to me. I picked up Pikmin 3 and went to post a review, and they claimed it, and it was not going to be able to have ads on it, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when I said, fuck you, Nintendo, I'm not going to review any of your shit. And that's a pretty widely accepted stance on Nintendo and YouTube, is because they don't care And I also think they don't really know, like, that system on YouTube is so automated that it could potentially flag anything, which is what happened, I believe, with the co-optional podcast this week when they showed that trailer. Is Nintendo didn't actively seek that out to kill it. It just happened, and Nintendo doesn't actually care because they probably don't know. But Nintendo's kind of a specific, I guess, case. Square Enix and everything that happened with Final Fantasy XIV, they eventually knew because there was so much community outcry about it, and they did kind of revert their stance on Final Fantasy XIV and being able to monetize it. One of the big things is that they didn't want to have the cutscenes from the game thrown up on YouTube, and one of the things that they did with Final Fantasy XI is they would put, and I guess just kind of anime sequences in general, is people will go and put their Linkin Park music over it to make some fan-made bullshit, blah blah blah, and they didn't want that, which is totally respectable, right? That's they can. I think that is totally respectable, but I just think that, like, the Japanese development community is so foreign to what is really going on in the rest of the Western world that it's not that they are trying to be dicks. They're not like saying, well, fuck these guys. They just don't know. They don't understand what is really going on with new media and how it's changing everything here in kind of the Western world when it comes to marketing and everything like that. So hopefully they learn. Like, they're still trying to figure out the internet over there and how to incorporate that into a lot of their games, right? So maybe that's the next thing.
I agree. It's a cultural thing. I mean, Jeff, you've been in journalism for a long time, and you're certainly seeing the different eras of, you know, Eastern game development domination into turning into Western. Like, what's your thoughts on that and how things are,
Well, I think JP really nailed it. I think that it's not malicious. I think they just don't get it. And it's sort of sad, too, because if they did get it, they would realize that this stuff only helps them. You know, that obviously the more people are talking about it and the more people are showing screens and showing video, the more they're going to want to buy something. But it's always been a cultural thing that the Japanese game industry tends to be, you know, much more controlling of the assets and much more like they want to be in charge of all of it. I mean, when I worked on the magazine, we didn't review console games, but all the console magazines were on the same floor as us. And when a new Nintendo game would come out that these guys would need to review, Nintendo reps would come to the office. You know, basically it was like, you know, they were carrying nuclear secrets. They would have like the cartridge like strapped to their body practically, and they would stand there hovering over the journalists while they were playing the game for review. It was ridiculous, you know. So there's a fundamental, I don't even think it's really hostility. It's just a different mindset, you know. And yeah, as JP and Marcus said, you know, hopefully they'll just eventually get it. But, you know, also, as JP said, they are still trying to figure out the internet. Like, look at the kind of BS you have to deal with just to do online gaming. I mean, it's certainly much better than it used to be, but they're so far behind the times. And I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, look at their approach on how they communicate with gamers, right? Nintendo Direct is actually really great, but it is a dry, kind of uninteresting, almost business-esque presentation of games and new stuff from Nintendo, where you've got all these Western developers that are like, well, shit, let's make a Twitch channel, let's broadcast every other week, interact with and it's just a completely different environment, because we see all these Western developers and even indie developers and AAA alike, they're going, oh, well, this is a great way for us to, you know, communicate with our audience. And I think Nintendo has always just been on Mount Olympus. That it is kind of odd for them to be like, well, we don't go down there and talk with them. And so we still see this today with, like, their Nintendo Directs. And, you know, will they ever be left behind? I don't think so. You know, it to me, it's their philosophy and it's their direction as a company. And I've accepted that. It is what it is. I do feel like it does hurt them a little bit. But I agree, it's not necessarily malicious. It might be a little part culture, maybe even a part dare I say, ignorance. Just
Yeah,
because
it is. I think that's fair. I think, they could actually look at it if they were smart as free advertising.
That's what it is. Totally what it is. Yeah.
They
You're
don't
right.
have to pay for ads or pay for videos when you've got, broadcasters willing to talk about them for an hour for nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when they block those guys, they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah. And that's the really weird thing. Like, it's something that Total Biscuit talks about every time this happens to him. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is like 500,000 views on your game that just don't happen because you're going to make it not. You're not going to be able to monetize it.
Right. He's a hugely influential voice in the community. People, hang on to his words. They'll buy what he says to buy, and they're blowing it.
And that's really a whole nother, like, at least for me, like, I could take that topic so many different ways, because I think one of the biggest things with YouTubers is that a lot of people, there's no one telling you that this person is an entertainer and this person is helping you out by checking this game out and giving you his critical thoughts on it, right? There's no separation of that. Like, where in journalism, there's journalism there's personality driven stuff like Giant Bomb's doing. Like, YouTube is just this giant place where a billion places live. And so a lot of people have a hard time watching a Total Biscuit commentary on a game because, or anyone's commentary on a game, because they don't know if they're being paid to say that.
Right.
That's absolutely right. But of course, that's why the Western publishers love these guys.
Yeah.
Right? Because whether they're paying them or not, I know this firsthand, that they're starting to give those guys preferential treatment over the journalists because 100%, they know that they're not critical. They can actually tell them what to say. We'll give you these assets. We'll give you this video. But hey, we really want you to talk about this weapon today, and we want you to say these positive things about it, and they'll do it.
And they did it, yeah.
And
Battlefield 4, they did that. They flew a bunch of YouTubers out to Los Angeles and gave them direct feed footage that was on a crazy system and treated those guys like kings for 2 nights in LA.
And of course, they love
weird,
it,
right?
Because they're being treated like kings, and because they're getting gameplay footage that no one else gets. They're getting to feel like the VIPs that they basically are now.
Yeah.
And the press, why deal with guys who are going to be snarky, who are going to be critical, who are going to be judgmental? I'm just talking from the publisher's point of view. Right. They have every reason to want to cooperate with the YouTubers.
It's another thing that's kind of like opening up this weird world once again, where game criticism and journalism and all that stuff is just being blown apart here 2 years later, after this whole like podcast revolution that happened this past couple of years, that is still kind of blowing up on that aspect.
Yeah. And I don't want anyone to misunderstand it. I think that like the YouTubers are bad or lesser than the journalists, because I also think it's awesome that there has been this democratization of voices, that anyone can now do it.
Yep.
So I think that part is great. And, the great people rise to the surface, right? Like Total Biscuit is as popular as he is because he's earned it.
Sure.
But I do think that there's a difference in mentality, and there's a difference in like professional training. I don't think it's a good or bad thing necessarily. It's just different.
Yeah.
This is actually a really interesting topic. I feel like we could probably spend an hour on
That's
it.
what I was saying. Like,
yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot this week because of certain things that have happened throughout the week. I guess I can't talk about, but it's such a weird thing to me, because there is no filter on YouTube that says this guy doesn't take money for his reviews. These people got flown out to EA.
Right.
And I'm kind of singling them out, and I don't mean to, but these people got flown X to do X, got X for free, and potentially are kind of speaking after being treated on an incredible week at X.
That's right. I mean, my whole career as a game journalist was that we were constantly thrown those temptations. They want to spend that money on
Right.
you, but it was our official policy not to do it.
Yeah.
So we turned down way more things than we ever accepted. And believe me, they were tempting, awesome things that we turned down.
Yep.
Trips to Hawaii, trips to Europe. I mean, it's just ridiculous shit.
I've heard
was like,
some
nope.
of these stories.
Yeah, it's like, nope, can't do it. Like, if we take that, then we are not journalists. We are not we are going to be biased towards your product, or there's going to be the perception of bias, which is just as bad, just as bad.
What wasn't GTA for? I don't want to drag this on too long, but wasn't GTA for the longest time? Weren't you flown out to like a hotel or somewhere and given this game in a room with all of these other journalists and played that game there for like a weekend, and they treated you like gods?
There are a lot of game companies that do that and that started doing it, and then others realized it was a successful strategy, and so they jumped on that bandwagon. I personally never did it, and our magazine never did it. I certainly know a lot of people who did, and it was really a tough choice because you're trading off. Do I get to post the review the same time as everyone else and therefore be current and relevant?
Right.
Or do I be, have more integrity, quote unquote, but now I'm out of the picture. I'm not part of the discussion. I mean, they really stick it to you. It's like either you play ball or you're irrelevant. And we just chose that only because, I personally couldn't live with that fact. I couldn't live with knowing that they're hovering over me, feeding me Doritos and beer. and here's the thing. It's like, and sometimes we would ask, like, in trying to want to accept it, we would say, like, okay, we will do it there. We'll do it in your hotel room or whatever, but we're bringing our own PC because we want to know what the specs are because they want to tell us what we were playing on. And like they give us the most souped up possible thing, the greatest thing that they could afford to make their game look as good as possible. So let us bring our rig so that we can at least tell our readers what we played on. And they would say, nope. And, you got to do it our way or the highway. So really interesting stuff. Yeah.
Caller, we haven't forgotten about you. But
sorry, I took that in a direction I don't think.
Yeah, we hope that you got plenty of information and good feedback from that one.
All right. Well, thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call.
I have a feeling that he might have generated a topic that could extend on to a future show. So that's always good when we have those types of things. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting things, especially the evolution of journalism and how things are changing. Like Jeff mentioned, a lot of the things, the fact that Twitch is starting to become a marketable tool. YouTube continues to be. I mean, online video in general. It's just absolutely crazy. And how will that continue to expand out as it becomes easier to stream and consoles will have direct capture and upload to YouTube and stuff. It's gonna be pretty wild, guys. So
it's gonna be a fun future.
It is gonna be a fun
just
one.
Next month. I bet you there will be a large majority of the population that goes to Twitch instead of going to a GameSpot or an IGN to watch a live stream.
I think it's already happening, dude.
I think it's happening already. I agree. Yeah.
I really do. So.
To see what their thoughts are on that game. So
these are the good old days.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, we are getting about to closing time here, boys. So as always, let's do a quick little wrap here. We, anything you got coming up, or Jeff, where can people find what you're doing right now? Why don't we start with you?
Yeah, they could find me here on Twitch at /GreenSpeak. That's green like the color, SPEAK. That's all one word. That's also my Twitter at GreenSpeak. I'm actually going to continue my ongoing Black Mesa playthrough later this afternoon on Twitch. So that's it for me.
Awesome.
And thank you for having me again.
Hey, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for coming, man.
I'd like to have you on again sometime.
Definitely, anytime.
Awesome.
What time are you going to be playing Half-Life?
Probably around, if I have to guess, let's say 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay.
But variable on when my dog needs her walk.
Gotcha.
By the way, Jeff, I just want to say I can totally relate with the whole as you get older, it's not your game skills starting to suck, but more the way you panic in games because I was like, man, I relate to that so much. So
if you have not seen this live stream, this is an unfiltered, sad look at a guy who used to be great at FPS is now making his way through the Half-Life reboot, and my Twitch skills are horrible. So if you want to watch an old man be bad at games, watch my stream.
Yeah, go follow the stream.
There you
JP, what you got?
What else? Tomorrow I keep forgetting my shows. Tomorrow we've got Dark Heresy with myself, Total Biscuit. Wheat's going to be there. In Control, our DM Steve Lumpkin. So if you want to watch us all fuck around in the world of Warhammer 40K, and continue our adventures there, you can do so over at twitch.tv/itmeJP. Sunday, we've got Roleplay D&D going on, so if you want to see that kind of continue, I'll have all the VODs out for that, so you can be caught up fully on the show. What else? Wheat, I have some interesting news to report, one that you might not like. The Cat Pack has now broken the top 50 on Xbox Live.
Oh, win.
But
I won't tell the cats. I'm okay with it.
I don't even know why that's doing that. I expected like 10 people to buy it, and I was going to be happy.
Dude, I bet you people actually renewed their Xbox Live subscriptions just to buy it.
I had a couple people say that they went and bought their Xbox.
See?
New.
Well,
and it's like, why would you do that?
Well, there you
for
go.
The Cat Pack.
There
like,
you go. And you got no commission off of that, JP. That's terrible. That's just
off the 360, I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you want to do that, just Google crazy cat picture thing. It's embarrassing to talk about. Also, the funniest thing happened. Someone tweeted me in a discussion. I think I sent you this week. Discussion with a Xbox Live customer support person on like Xbox.com. And they're like, I seem to have a problem. They're like, what can we help you with? And he's like, well, it's a little embarrassing. I want to buy this crazy cat picture. Person's like, that's not that embarrassing. Don't worry about it. That made my day.
That's hilarious. That is so funny.
It was incredible.
Go customer service.
Other than that, I think that's it. Huge shout out to Jeff Green for coming on. It was a fantastic show and loved having you here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me.
I don't have that much to wrap up with. Of course, VODs will eventually go up on JP's YouTube. That's going to be on youtube.com/itmeJP. If you're a subscriber here on my Twitch channel, you're going to have instant access to the VODs once we go off air. And you can follow us, JP's content, youtube.com/itmeJP, youtube.com/djWHEAT for me. And I'll see you tomorrow for Dark Heresy and be doing subscriber and follower giveaways on Sunday. So I hope that you'll join us for that. Guys, I've had a blast today. Thank you, as always, making my Friday kickoffs and the rest of the day so easy. So JP and Jeff, thank you for that. We're out of here, guys. Thanks for joining us for another episode of 8 Bits, and we will see you next time. Peace.